हेलो बच्चों, डियर स्टूडेंट्स, कैन यू हियर मी? डियर स्टूडेंट्स,
Yes,
कैन
sir.
यू?
Yes, sir.
So I welcome all of you for the chemistry class of today. That is 7/11/2020. Let us study more about the carbon compounds. So let's move forward and study those important things which we have or we need to study. Yesterday we have studied about the various compounds of carbon. We have started studying about the hydrocarbons, and we have seen the single, double and triple bond. Let us revise the same for initiating the class. We have seen that the compounds that are made up of only hydrogen and carbon, they are known as the hydrocarbon compounds. These hydrocarbon compounds are of majorly two type, my dear students. Sorry, are of three type. What are those three types of hydrocarbon? Can you tell me? बच्चों, क्या आप बता सकते हैं तीन प्रकार के हाइड्रोकार्बन क्या होते हैं? कौन कौन से हाइड्रोकार्बन तीन प्रकार के होते हैं? कल ही तो हमने पढ़ा था, बताइए। हेलो डियर स्टूडेंट्स, will you please tell me what are the various types of hydrocarbons? नहीं बताएंगे?
alkane, alkene, alkyne.
Very good. The various types of hydrocarbon that are possible, they are alkanes, alkenes and alkynes. So first we should write about the alkane, then we have alkene, and then we have alkynes. My dear students, here this is very important that we understand the importance of these letters ANE, ENE and YNE. Remember these words ANE, ENE and YNE are very important. So when we study about them, we should learn about them in a detail. Now, what is the meaning of ANE, YNE and ENE? Let us try to understand, dear students, that ANE represents all the single bonds. ANE represents all single bonds. This ENE represents at least one double bond. This ENE represents at least one C double bond C, and this YNE represents at least one C triple bond C. Now, my dear students, to have at least one C double bond C, we need two carbon. At least two carbons are needed. To have C triple bond C, even we need at least two carbon. So, but for having all single bonds is also possible between carbon and hydrogen. So alkanes are the compounds that makes the that can be made with single carbon. So we have the various alkanes. These various alkanes that we have, my dear students, their name we can start writing. Though we can have methane, we can have ethane. बच्चों आपको ये भी लिखना है मेरे साथ, नोट्स आपको लिखते रहना है क्लास वर्क में. प्रोपेन, ब्यूटेन. सेम वे अल्कीन्स जो है उसमें एटलीस्ट 2 कार्बन हमें चाहिए, तो अल्कीन्स जो है वो स्टार्ट होती है इथिन, प्रोपिन, ब्यूटिन, पेंटिन. Same way बच्चों, when we have alkynes, they also start with 2 carbon, that is ETHYNE, PROPYNE, BUTYNE, PENTYNE. तो चलिए कुछ चीजें हमें समझनी है ये नाम से. तो क्या समझ में आता है पहले वो देख लेते हैं बच्चों. व्हाट डू वी अंडरस्टैंड बाय यूजिंग दिस नेम्स. देखिए आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे लिखा हुआ है मिथ, METH. मिथ का मतलब होता है, द मीनिंग ऑफ मिथ इज 1 कार्बन. द मीनिंग ऑफ इथ इज 2 कार्बन. The meaning of prop means 3 carbon. The meaning of but means 4 carbon. So here also we have eth, we have prop, we have but, we have pent. Here also we have eth, we have prop, we have but, we have pent. So what is the meaning of eth, my dear students? Eth means 2 carbon, prop means 3 carbon, but means 4 carbon, pent means 5 carbon. Eth means 2 carbon, prop means 3 carbon, but means 4 carbon, pent means 5 carbon. This is what you should know. Then we'll study the structure. So when we study the structure, my dear students, we come to know that methane is nothing but your CH4. So in methane, you have 1 carbon bonded with the 4 hydrogen. This is what it is all about your methane, my dear students. That is how you understand. Then we have the next. When you have ethane, you have 2 carbon. You can see you have 2 carbon. So it is C2H6. So you have 2 carbon, 1 carbon, 2 carbon. Each carbon will make 4 bonds. So here you can see this is C2H6, which is known as ethane. Same way, my dear students, you can understand about propane. Propane has got 3 carbon, C3H8. And you can see the structure of propane this way. 3 carbon, each carbon will make 4 bonds with the hydrogens. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. You can understand this C3H8. It is very easy to understand these alkanes. Now we will try to understand this ethene. So in ethene we have 2 carbon. So we have 2 carbon where they have the double bond, and then they have 4H, and this is how your ethene is C2H4. Your propene would be C3H6. Your butene would be C4H8. Your pentene would be, let us study about the pentene. Your pentene would be C5H10. C5H10. Now let us study the structure. C2H4 you have studied. Now we have 3 carbon, 1, 2, and 3. At least one of them should be double bond. So let us say this is double bond. So now this carbon has made 1 and 2 bond. So 2 more bond it can form. This carbon has made 1, 2 and 3 bond. So only 1 bond it can form. And this carbon has made 1 bond. So it can form 3 bonds. So you can have the structure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. This is how you can understand C3H6, my dear students. Same way, if you have 4 carbon, we can write it this way 1, 2, 3 and 4. At least one carbon will have double bond. Let us say this carbon has got double bond. So it will have 2 more bond to form. This carbon has made 3 bond. So it will have 1 bond. This carbon has made 1 and 2 bonds. So it will make further 2 bonds. But this carbon has made only 1 bond. So it will make 3 more bonds. Let us count the number of hydrogen 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And this is how, my dear students, you understand about the butene. Now let us look at the ethyne. When we look at the ethyne, my dear students, we know that ethyne has got 2 carbon. So we have 2 carbons. These 2 carbons have triple bond. That means this carbon has made 3 bond. It can make 1 more bond. This carbon has also made 3 bonds. So it can make 1 more bond. So here you can see this is 1 bond. So your ethyne is C2H2. Now when we want to study propyne, we have 3 carbon, my dear students, 1, 2 and 3. At least one carbon should have triple bond. So this carbon has made 1, 2, 3. So it will make 1 more bond, that is 4th bond. This carbon, if you think it has made 1, 2, 3 and 4 bonds, so it cannot make any further bond. But this carbon has made 1 bond, so it can form 3 bond. Ultimately we have 1 hydrogen, 2 hydrogen, 3 hydrogen and 4 hydrogen. This is how, my dear students, we will have C3H4 for our propyne. Same way, my dear students, for butane, we will have 4 carbons. So we can go for the 4 carbons this way 1, 2, 3, and 4 carbons. At least 2 carbons have triple bond. So there will be 1 bond possible here. This carbon has made 4 bond. This carbon has made 2. This carbon has only made 1. So 1 hydrogen, 2 hydrogen, 3 hydrogen, 4, 5 and 6. And that is how your butane is. That is how, my dear students, we can understand that your butane is C4H6. You can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So it is C4H6. So this is how, my dear students, we can understand the various uh, alkanes, alkenes and alkynes. They are formed by single, double and triple bond. Now, my dear students, we need to understand it in detail. So let us try to understand them one by one in detail. You have seen that we have various alkanes. These alkanes are actually methane CH4, ethane C2H6, propane C3H8, butane C4H10, pentane C5H12, hexane C6H14. Now, my dear students, let me teach you something very interesting. If you take CH4 and if you add a CH2 to it, what happens? 4 plus 2, 6. C1 and C1, it becomes C2. You can see that you get C2H6. So if you take any of them and add CH2, you will get next element or next compound. Same way in C2H6. Same way in C2H6, if you add CH2, you will get C3H6. In C3H6, if you add CH2, you will get C4H10. In C4H10, if you will add CH2, you will get C5H10. In C5H12, if you add CH2, you will get C6H12. So you can see that each member of alkane, you can easily understand that each member is differ by CH2. Each member is differed by CH2. We can even remove this is because each member differ by CH2. Is not needed. So each member differ by CH2. Now what is the mass of CH2? So CH2 means 12 plus 2, that is 14U. 12 plus 2, that is 14U. So we can say that each member differed by each member differed by one CH2 and second 14U. We can easily understand that each member differed by CH2 and 14U. Now let's have a look to the alkenes. So we have seen alkenes that the alkenes start with C2H4, C3H6, C4H8, C5H10, C6H12. When you study them, you will even find that when you want to convert them from one to another, you can easily add CH2. So when you add CH2 to C2H4, you get C3H6. Let us do it this way. You can have, or let me try it out for this. Let me take C3H6 and then let me add CH2. So 6 plus 2, 8. So you will get H8 and C4. You get this C4H8 easily. Now if we think about the next one, which are known as the alkynes, we have seen various alkynes like C2H2, C3H4, C5H8, no, C5H6, it should be 8. Then you have, I'm making mistake. It should be C5H6. Then we should be C4H6. I'm so sorry. I feel that I was making mistake. It was C4H6. Then you have C5. You have C5H8. You can have C6H10. Now let us try to see them. If you want to take if you want to convert each member, you can do it by just adding CH2. When you add CH2, you get the next member. Let us take the example of C4H6. When you take the example of C4H6, you add CH2, you get H8 and C5, and this is your C5H8. So this is how, my dear students, we truly realize that here, even in this two, my dear students, we can conclude that each member differs by each member differs by number 1 CH2 and number 2 14U mass. So this is something very important that we have studied today, that alkanes, alkenes and alkynes, they form a great number of compounds, and these great number of compounds, they differ by CH2 and 14U mass. Now this is really very important, my dear students, for you to know that these alkanes, alkenes and alkynes, they differ by a particular mass, and they differ by a particular atoms. The number atoms are CH2. So this series of compound which are formed by alkane, alkenes and alkynes are known as homologous series. Let us try to understand the new term which is known as the homologous series. What is homologous series? So let us write the definition. You all also please note down in your notebook the definition of homologous series. The series of compounds in which, or you can even say that the series of carbon compound, you can even write it that way. Let us write the definition. The series of carbon compounds in which each member of the series differs by CH2 or 14U mass from its preceding and succeeding member. The series of carbon compounds in which each member of the series differs by CH2 or 14U mass from its preceding and succeeding member. Such series of carbon compound is called homologous series. So this was the definition, a very important definition for you students to study, which is about the homologous series, my dear students. And please learn this definition. Please note it down and learn it well in your notebooks. Please learn it. Please learn the definition of the homologous series. We have already seen the homologous series, so we can write the examples as the examples are homologous series of alkanes. We can even see the homologous series of alkenes. We can even see the homologous series of alkynes. So we can even give other examples of homologous series, but that is what we are going to study in future. So let us move forward. Now, my dear students, we want to study the general formulas for alkanes, alkenes and alkynes. Let us study the general formulas for alkane, alkene and alkynes. So first we should study about the alkanes. Let us have a look to the alkanes. For alkanes, the general formula is CnH2n plus 2. Now let's take n is equal to 1. So my dear students, when we take n is equal to 1, we will have C1H2 into 1 plus 2. That is C1H2 into 1, that is 2 plus 2. That is CH2 plus 2, 4. So the first member is your methane. If you have n is equal to 2, my dear students, then you can have C2H2 into 2 plus 2. That is C2H4 plus 2. That is C2H6. This is what it is, the second member. Now suppose you want to find out the fifth member. So what you will do, you will take n is equal to 5. So this is what it gives you, the fifth member. That is your C5H2 into 5 plus 2. That is equal to C5H10 plus 2. And that is equal to your C5H12. So here, my dear students, you can see all these members. This is the first member, this is the second member, this is the sixth member. I can write all the members here for you, that you have first methane, then you have ethane, then you have propane, then you have butane, then you have pentane, then you have hexane, Let me write the names even for you, my dear students, that this is what it is known as methane. Then you have this one which is known as ethane. Then you have the next one which is known as propane. Then you have butane, my dear students. Then you have pentane. And then you have hexane. So now there are something which represented by this underlying word. This meth represents the 1 carbon, eth represents 2 carbon, prop represents 3 carbon, but represents 4 carbon, pent represents 5 carbon, and hex represents 6 carbon. Same way, my dear students, let's have